going on, y'all? Welcome back. What I love about these conversations is that they're real. What I really love about these conversations is that we brothers ain't holding back. Because when men talk,
you just might want to listen.
Yes. Tonight, chivalry. Is it on the rise? Decline? Is it something we should do? We shouldn't do? Is it a thing in the past? Who really tells you how to treat your woman?
Ooh. Ooh. So you said chivalry dead or alive? I would say it depends on who you ask.
I say it depends on the woman you trying to impress.
That's why I say it depends on who you ask. Because some want the chivalry and some just want whatever you give them.
I'm going to just go ahead and footnote this right here. I'm going to footnote. That's coming from a player.
Player.
I know the winner, I'm telling you.
Hey, look, let's get real with the conversation.
Talk.
Because my thinking, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, and y'all are the three brothers say, yo, you wrong. Is it a cultural thing? Because when I hang around my non-African American friends, they treat, when they're in that dating stage, they treat their women a lot different than we do. The chair holding, the open up the car door, what do you want? My brothers, I mean, we almost treat our sisters like they are road dogs when we're dating, especially after the third or fourth date, and especially if we hit it. That's a whole nother conversation. That respect just goes boom, boom, boom. And then to introduce something else, and I'm gonna shut up, is that when I'm around my white friends, a lot of them, all their conversations are about, man, I can't wait to find that one girl. When I'm around my brothers, that ain't really a conversation about, oh my God, I can't wait to find my queen to marry. So I think it's cultural when we're talking about chivalry. What do you think, man?
I mean, I agree with you as culturally, but I also think it's your upbringing. You know, did we have examples? Were you raised in a single family household? Did you have a father figure there to teach you that chivalry is good or not good? And then also the other point is too, look at it this way. Would you want your mother to be treated a certain way, or would you want your daughter, if you were to have kids, to be treated that way?
It's a good point, but Charles, do we really, really, really think that way? Think about when you were growing up. Now, I shouldn't use you per se, but I'm just thinking most of the brothers that you know. When you were hanging out with them, you're in college, and think back with the things you did in college. Were you thinking, oh, I'm not going to do this to this young lady because I wouldn't want my mom treated that way? I can say, if we're going to be honest, like we are on this show,
yeah,
we weren't thinking.
Well, you know what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me say this, man. If we go back to like chivalry, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is ancestrally or within our heritage different, you know, than other cultures. You know what I'm saying? Specifically with our generation, our parents and their grandparents' generation, because of slavery. You dig what I'm saying? So check this out. There were many and oftentimes that we obviously were breeded. You dig what I'm saying? So that left us with some systemic reason that we don't have to be loyal, that we don't, you know, it's just sex. It's just, you know, for breeding purposes. You dig what I'm saying? And you know, the fathers, you know, would leave and the fathers would, you know, always be absent within the African-American community. And that is the systemic reason, because of slavery.
Dude, you just hit it, man. And you know what the saddest thing is, fellas? I didn't get that kind of teaching growing up. Y'all kids ain't getting that kind of teaching growing up. I mean, when they go to school, that is. You may be doing it at home. I'm not going to try to assume. But if we had that thinking, if we knew what set us on our mindsets and the way that we act came back from how we were brought up, well, culturally, or in this environment that brought us to the States, we would probably act and treat our women or treat ourselves a lot differently. That's a very good point, Sunday.
Hey, but Sunday, but to your point though, at the end of the day though, we still, even ancestrally, as kings, we treated our women as queens. That's not to say that's not to say we didn't have multiple. That's not to say we didn't have multiple queens, but we treated our women as queens. And going back to what you were saying about, one of y'all said about, you know, when you were in college. For me, in college, my conversation was still honesty. That's not to say that I want to be monogamous and baby, it's all about you, but having those real conversations so that she's able to make a choice.
Right.
She's able to make a decision based on the information that's given to her and her knowing like, okay, that's number one. That's my number two. You want to be number three. She makes that decision opposed to me having her think like it's all about you. And then she see me on campus with somebody else. And then there's an issue. So I think a lot of it too is about showing a certain level of respect and allowing people to make a decision in any relationship.
All right, so going back to Z's point real quick. Not all of our ancestors treated their wives as queens. They're almost like chattel, and they were property, even in the African diaspora. So it just, I guess it really would depend on what tribe you're talking about or what tribe they were from as to how they treated their women. They weren't allowed to sleep in the huts with men. They were strictly for breeding purposes. They were beaten. And some of that, like to Sunday's point, kind of trickled down to how we look at our queens, as our partners. I mean, I think it's cultural, and we haven't broken out of a lot of cycles as it relates to our culture and our backgrounds.
As we bring this one to a close, this conversation to a close, I will say it like this, to your point of Sunday, as far as for ancestral, I think it's really a big point to understand that people will rise up to the level that you treat. And what I mean by that is that whatever standards you have, just like in slavery, we got sick of being slaves and we broke out of it. People kept trying to break away. Eventually, over years and generations, we got away from slavery. So we're going to rise as men to the level of expectation that the person puts in front of you. So if a woman say, if she sit outside the car like this with her hands closed, and I ain't open the door until you get there,
Had that happen.
you're going to open that door.
I've had that happen.
So whatever the level of expectation somebody puts on you, you're going to rise up to that. And that's why you got to pay attention to that.
You're right. You're right. Women, I hope you're listening. Women, I hope you're listening.
And I was going to say, going back to something Jared said earlier about, you know, how we're raised, I think about like with my pops, he treated moms like a queen. But then I had uncles that were players. Mm-hmm. And in the conversation, they want to know, hey, man, you know, you got old girl, did you get with old girl? You know, so that was the conversation that you had with them. But then at the end of the day, when you have a conversation with your pop, so at a certain point, you look in the mirror and make a decision on the type of man you want to be. And to Charles's point, like you said, there's a certain expectation that's set in a relationship that you have. You either conform or you bounce. And you make that decision. And now women have become more players than men in a lot of cases.
They control the world with it, though. You know what I'm saying? We jump through the hurdles with it. So once they understand the power of the pussy.
A smart woman will do
the world.
Hey, you brothers are talking, and when men talk,
I want to listen.